Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be jumping down into the charts to take a look at what has been going on here most recently with the price action of Luna. As I get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done and out of the way, let's jump on down into the price action here for Luna and see what's been going on and what I think is going to happen next. We are paired up with USDT, we are on the hourly chart, and Binance is our data source just here. And, we've actually seen a pretty impulsive move upwards, right? And I think I'm going to just realign a couple of these because I think some of these waves on the larger scale we're actually in a little bit of an incorrect location, and we can actually go ahead and move these around a little bit and make a little bit more sense over these moves, right? So up here, I think is actually our third wave high, and I think this is our fourth wave low, and I think this is our fifth wave coming up here, right? So we have this micro movement as well just on the inside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just adjust some of these off as well, so we get a better idea as to what's going on, right? So we can see there's some corrective moves. We had this start here. This looks like it's going to be a pretty clear wave one, this being our wave two. Now that's actually should have been deeper, but I think it's pretty standard, but let me just check to see where that actually landed. So yeah, we actually went down relatively deep here. We bounced from the 786. That's pretty good for a wave two. So that's not too bad. So we know that that's pretty much where we are on that kind of scale of things. Then we get 5 waves up, 3 waves down, and 5 really good moves up here, right? And I think this is actually just a third wave, okay? And I think there's a little bit more room here for Luna. So essentially what we've got, let me just map this up. We've got wave 1, wave 2 coming down again in that relatively deep corrective state. This being a wave 3, this being a wave 4, and this being a wave 5. Okay, so exactly as I had it before, the only difference is the macro view, okay, which I think is actually changing out a little bit. So what we've really got, I think, is a wave 1 coming here, a wave 2 over this side, and all of that is a wave 3, okay, an overextension. A wave 4 come down and a wave 5 go up, okay? And we can get confirmation on this by measuring the distance of our wave 1 here and transposing this over to the bottom of our wave 2. Okay, this allows us to understand whether we went impulsive, and that would have been triggered here at the 1.618 move. And in fact, we actually overextended a lot of this, right? So that movement there, the minimum 1.618, was absolutely smashed through there. And again, we can look at it, and this is why I had it mapped out slightly differently, as 1, 2, 3, 4 coming down here, and then 5. But it's looking like all of that is actually a wave 3, and we've overextended. And I say this, but only because the wave counts that are inside this move, right? We don't have a definitive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just landing here with some kind of ABC and then the start of another additional set of waves. So I think actually on a grander scale, this makes a little bit more sense that this is wave 3 and now we're tracking down. Now if we actually focus in on that movement to the downside just here, what we can do is we can articulate this as an ABC. Now these are usually quite complex waves though, okay, in the same way that this one here was actually a pretty standard ABC, to be fair, but essentially what you've got over this side I think is going to be a little bit more complex, or has the ability to be more complex. And we see this on the greater scale when we actually take a look at things like Bitcoin or Cardano on the weekly charts, for example. They've actually had a really complex fourth wave correction. Usually these are some kind of flat correction, running flat, triple or double bottom double tree kind of patterns here, where essentially we end up with corrective states, okay, basically triple corrections or double corrections. So we have to be quite mindful when we think about a potential break up from this area, what was actually say that we are moving on up definitively, okay, versus some kind of fake out bull trap scenario where we come back down in some kind of expanding flat correction. So we should be very mindful over where we jump back in if we were to come into a Luna trade again. After all, a lot of my short-term trades were hit with this new all-time high for Luna. Okay, so that was all pretty good. So let's actually just map this out right here. So we can see there's a pretty good move down. This looks like a BC. Okay, now that might look like it's overextending or might be going impulsive to the downside. It is not, because we have overlap. Okay, we're not allowed to overlap this particular wick over here, so we know that's ABC down. Now what that basically means is a zigzag coming down, and we are potentially tracking a zigzag going up, right? Down here, and just put that up on that side and just pull that down, right? So zigzag down, zigzag up, and then this would probably be followed up by a zigzag down. Okay, essentially like so. taking us down lower. Now, the interesting thing with this is we can just shortcut that by basically saying this is an entire A wave coming down, this is a B wave, and we come down into a C wave lower. Okay, now because this is outside of the scope of the impulsive move, and this is just a standard fourth wave correction, there's a couple of things that we should be looking out for. Okay, what are the standard areas of retracement for this? So for the most part, we would be looking no deeper than a 382 on a typical kind of scale, but we should just check to see where we're currently landing. Okay, so if I draw this the correct way around, which will be from the bottom to the top, we can see here that this might come down to that 382, right? And this will also be the area of the third wave high, so we should be watching that. So let's go ahead and now measure this distance just here, and what we'll do is we'll just transpose this over to our B wave, and we can see this actually does have the ability to come down to $100.41. And in doing so, is there any good kind of support in there? There's a little bit of support, and it would go a little bit further than the most typical kind of 382 retracement for the fourth wave, but nonetheless, that's actually not a bad position to be in. I think we'll probably find support on that 786, as the 786 here on this retracement of this ABC is exactly the 382. So I would anticipate that being a really good bounce for Luna. Now, at this point, we'll bring up our stochastic RSI, and we'll just talk about, there's room to pull back down, okay? And, we've got room to lower that stochastic RSI. So we're looking to bring the stochastic RSI down to the oversold area on this hourly chart. That should basically trigger us on a nice move upwards. But we'll be mindful as to whether or not all of this larger ABC move is actually just a bit of a fake out, okay? In the same way that we might have seen at the bottom here, as we're starting to see the ABC completed and the invalidation of the impulsive move coming down with that B wave high. Essentially, though, I think we are going to be dropping down towards $100 or potentially even the 101.25, which is the 385 or the 382 area of the Fibonacci retracement tool. If I can get my words out, $101.25. Okay, the 786 retracement zone. So I think the stochastic RSI lowering down into there will be getting that done. Now, the 4-hourly chart does indicate that we need to see some kind of corrective play before we potentially move on up. So we are mindful over that. The same thing with the 8-hour and the daily chart. If it will load, we're not getting a stochastic RSI for the daily. There we go. And we're just heading up into the overbought area. So essentially, that gives us more room to go up a little bit further, right? So as long as we have that room to grow, we can see this potentially moving out just a little bit more. Now, on this daily chart, what we can do is we can see exactly what's going on here. We can grab hold of our measurements. I'm going to just quickly remove that fib out of the way. In fact, I might also move that one so we can see what this is looking like. Currently, this looks like an A wave up, a B wave down, and a C wave coming up, right? Now, obviously, we want to be mindful over what would create a trigger point for an impulsive move on the daily chart. So again, we grab that fib, we move it up, and we can see that we've just come up to the 1-to-1 ratio. That would be basically the ABC complete. But like I said, I think that's a third wave high, which means we might pull back down and see a little bit more of a surge upwards. Now, the key here will be $117.13. That's going to be the area that Luna has to hit to get an impulsive trigger point here on our daily chart, okay? And again, that comes in after this impulsive move up here and this corrective stage of play right in this moment. So interesting stuff. We continue this motion to the upside overall on this daily chart. Lots of progress is being made, and I think we've got some pretty good traction here going as to whether or not this actually just becomes a 5-3-5 wave move. But this is a really large wave one. So I'm not 100% certain that will be exactly what we'd see. We'd have to see a really, really large wave, let's say wave 3 on our chart for the weekly to really be impulsive like that. So we aren't quite there yet if we're talking about really big macro views, but this is one to kind of keep an eye out on, because this could be an indication of another impulsive move here on this daily chart, $117.13. Okay, just keep that in our back of our minds as we jump back down into this corrective play that is on our hourly chart. Okay, so essentially what we've got here is 5-3. 5-3-5. So yeah, we're potentially tracking up a little bit more here. This is not necessarily. I mean, that could be there, but I don't think we're going to be looking at this as another kind of massive break here. I think we're going to see the correction come down, and then we'll look for another 5 waves, potentially taking us up to that $117 range. We might, if we're lucky, if we're really, really lucky about it, we could see potentially another 2 impulsive moves on the hourly chart to allow that to kind of grow. But we'd have to see some kind of major correction occur to allow us to bring down some of these stochastic RSIs. Personally, I think we've only got one more left in this, and then I think that is going to be the 5th wave done, and then we're out of it, right? So let's actually take a look and think about where those targets might land. If we do come down to this area here, this being $100, but I think actually we're going to be 101.25, which I think is going to be the area that we'll probably get the bounce from. So if I park that there, then the 5th wave, and we should see 5 waves from here, taking us up towards a couple of key levels. Okay, essentially, the minimum that we should be thinking about is 107, and the largest time frame, or the larger one, would be 1.618 at $109. And to get us up to $117 within that 5th wave, the only other way we can take a look at this is to actually take a look at the entirety of this move, all the way from the bottom, transpose this over to that theoretical low, and then we move up to a 1.618, and that only comes in right there at $113. So even that, under that particular scenario, we wouldn't necessarily get to that kind of level. Okay, so I'm not exactly hopeful at this point to see another impulsive move on the daily chart, so we'll just have to keep our eyes out to see whether or not we actually do hit those targets. This is crypto at the end of the day, anything is possible, but from the most probable right now, we should be looking down for corrections towards 101.25. From 101.25, I would be expecting 107.59, and if we're lucky, we might get another breakout. It actually takes out these key areas, but on the most I could see here is probably the 113.01 in terms of the extensions there. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found this video useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.